So proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting
We are honored to have, we're going to get tag teamed by the Quaker Valley School District. My question to them was, who's running the school? But then I remember there are no kids. So far, nothing's on fire and so forth and so on. So that's a good thing. But we're honored to have them here. Most of us reside in this school district, pay our school taxes to it. As you know, they're looking to build a new high school. They've done all the other schools, two elementary schools, one middle school. They've remodeled, done nice looking projects and so forth. So the high school is the last one. Some of you may have grandchildren that are in high school, so I thought this might be an interesting topic. Today we're honored. We have the person where the buck stops, Tammy Andreyko. She's the superintendent of the Quaker Valley School District. We have Moneybags, Scott Antoline. He controls all the money in the school district. Michelle Deitch is the director of communications. She's the one that I worked through to get these people here. Charlie Gauthier is or Goche, as the Cajuns like to. They don't do it the French way, they do it the Cajun way. He's the director of facilities. He's responsible for all the buildings and grounds within the school district. And then Mr. Andrew Surloff, who is the assistant superintendent. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle, and we're going to get going. There'll be a little presentation, and you'll all be able to ask some questions.
Good morning. We are so excited to be here with you today and share a little bit about what's going on throughout the district. In addition to being excited about sharing things going on with the high school project, it's been great to develop a relationship with Mark, and we're already brainstorming some ways to bring our kids up to do some presentations and share all of the wonderful things that are happening throughout Quaker Valley. So hopefully you will get to see my face more often. I don't want to hold you up from your lunch, so we'll make sure we get started with our presentation. Dr. Andreyko is going to start us off, so I will hand it off to her.
Good morning, everyone. Really excited to be here. If we knew you had donuts, we would have been here even earlier if we could, but Eaton Park sounds great for lunch. Well, once again, we're really excited to be here. We'll do a little bit of information for you related to what's happening in the school district, because I think we don't want to be known as just a one-topic shop. I mean, there are a lot of really great things happening within our school district with our kids, with our graduates, and then also at the same time, one of the most important and major projects that the district has certainly taken under advisement over the last several years is the high school. And many of you have lived here a long time, so you know there's been a lot of conversation related to what's happening at the high school, renovations that happened at different buildings as well as the high school. But now we're finally embarking on really the great future of Quaker Valley and what that facility will mean to our young people. So we're going to get started. We just have an end of the year video that we'd like to share with you that gives you kind of an idea of everything happening in Quaker Valley, and then we'll dial down and bring you into some more specifics about the high school project. So hit it, Michelle.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tammy Andreyko, Superintendent of Schools for Quaker Valley School District. It is my pleasure to close out another school year with you. This school year has marked the return to being together, celebrating the joys of our school district and reflecting on all that we've accomplished together. But now is the time to slow down and celebrate those achievements. Our student achievement data has returned to our pre-pandemic levels of typical or better performance by our students. This is evidence of what a small district can do when the community, educators, and students all come together and work. We continue to strive toward designing and building our new high school, ensuring safety, inclusivity, and innovation in every decision that we make. And we've presented periodic updates throughout the year, including sharing the schematic design, site plan, floor plan, energy management studies, exterior finishes, and design development, getting us ready for bids in the fall and winter. In addition, this year, Quaker Valley was inducted into the Digital Promises League of Innovative Schools, a prestigious network of the nation's most forward-thinking educational institutions. Our school board was recognized by both the Pennsylvania School Boards Association and the University of Pittsburgh's Tri-State Study Council for their innovative decision-making. Our administrators and staff received a number of honors. Dr. Anthony Mooney was named Pittsburgh Penguins' Most Valuable Principal. Dr. Susan Gentile received an Outstanding Curriculum Leadership Award from PASCD. Dr. Carla Escribano was named School Nutrition Association of Pennsylvania's Director of the Year. Mike Lewis received a Distinguished Service Award for his work with youngsters. And finally, Officer David Watts is receiving a Regional Exceptional Service Award for his work as a police officer. Along with these awards, we are proud of our students and faculty as they have also achieved countless honors in our region and state for their great accomplishments. Way to go. At the heart of our work is our students and their staff, and their achievements give us all reasons to be proud. 135 graduates have just received their diplomas and are following on to many pathways towards success, amassing more than $3 million in scholarships and awards and being accepted into more than 175 institutions. We also have students entering the world of work and serving in our country's military. Students of all ages are engaged in academic and athletic competitions, music festivals, writing contests, and so much more, demonstrating just how great our kids truly are. We hope that you will continue to engage with us throughout the summer as we highlight all things that make Quaker Valley a great place to call home. Congratulations to our graduates. Have a fabulous summer and take good care. Hi. Not again. My mother will watch it several times, but I'm not sure if you need to do that. But once again, that video really celebrates not only what's happening in the classroom, but then on our athletic fields and on our courts, and what really happens when our students leave us and go off after graduation. But really excited to be here today and to showcase that work. So today, our focus will be to talk a little bit about the high school project. And I'm starting my 6th year as superintendent. And when I got to Quaker Valley, land had already been purchased, decisions had already been made related to what is the best place that we can call home for our new Quaker Valley High School. And then we immediately as a team joined together to start that work to select architects, to select engineers, and now of course engaging our students, our staff, all of us in that design project, and then moving on forward to what happens with interiors, and then heading off into bid this winter. So Michelle, if I can have you flip the slide. You probably see at the top of Camp Meeting Road, we have placed a sign. I'm letting you know where the home of the new high school will be. Later on in the presentation, Charlie will talk to you a little bit about what that may mean to roads and areas and parking and all of those good things. We'll talk about that shortly. But we want you to know that this is a really special place. If you have not had an opportunity or would like an opportunity to go up and visit the site, make sure you wear your bug spray. But really, it is a very, very wonderful moment to look to see where our students will have their future to be educated, to be able to look across that property, to look down at the river and see really the whole community, and we will be part of that. Our students will be able to learn inside and outside and have every available opportunity, especially I see when some of us walked into, I have bad foot and bad knee, it was nice to be able to have ramps and so forth when we came into the YMCA. Some of those things we don't have right now at our current high school. We know if you go to visit your grandchildren at a choir concert or you go to a football game, it's really hard to park. It's really hard to find a place that you feel as though you're comfortable and can get to, and some of our students who have those special needs. And so we are going to make sure that this is just the best place that they can be educated.
Go ahead and flip the slide. So we have had a lot of different things happening, and we really made a vow, actually around Thanksgiving time and right when our annual report came out, to make sure that our community knew every month at board meetings what was happening with our project. In a little while, Michelle will share with you how our website works and where you can find every research project, everything related to this high school. You'll see videos of me from 5 years ago, 3 years ago. You'll see Charlie. We call them Chats with Charlie. He looks at one little issue or one little topic, maybe a month or so, and it's all available to you because it's really the best place that we can archive everything all in one place. But starting around that Thanksgiving time, we received zoning for our property that says, yes, you can build a high school here. This is going to be a good place and a safe place for a school to be built. And so we did go to court about that. Just any misconceptions about that. There were some conversations in the community that they wanted to start the design process a little bit early. Where were we going to put roads? Where were we going to put emergency access? All of those different things. And the reason we did go to court is to say there is a time and place for that, and that is with the Planning Commission. But at that time, it was zoning to see if we had the right to build a school or the ability to build a school on that site. That was really the only zoning issue. That's why we did go to court, but we did prevail during that conversation. In December of '22, we had the board come back together and take a look with the architects at the floor plan of our new facility. Taking a look at where that gymnasium will be, where the auditorium will be, where our classes will be, how the cafeteria will function. We started all of that work. When you go onto your website, you'll be able to see some of those site plans if you're interested in it. You will notice that we don't label every single classroom. You'll see things that you won't see Spanish classroom, French classroom, English classroom, because for the safety of our kids, we think it's important that you're able to see what the facility looks like if you have to work your way through it. But we want to keep that, some of those safety issues to the privacy of the school district. In February of 2023, the school board approved the site plan, including the beginning of the geotechnical improvements and 2 designated entrances to campus. Like I said, Charlie's the expert on those things. He'll talk to you a little bit about that, because I do think that's really important. Is a lot of people say, hey, look, there's a lot of traffic right now in front of that current high school, and it is really tough in the morning. We agree with you. Our first responders agree with you that it's a really difficult place to go for the last 100 years as far as dropping off and picking up. And we want to make sure that we make that easier, safer, and then, of course, more inclusive. Moving on to February of '23, we did have our architects, Bolwin, Sawinski, Jackson, and Karpinski engineers and BSHM presented a sustainability study. For those of you how many of you are involved with Sustainable Sewickley in the room? Any of you? Oh, they are great. They are a very, very influential group to us and has I would say partnered with us and said, hey, when you build this new building, we want a really good footprint for the next 100 years. We really want you to take a look at features related to energy, related to solar, related to the type of insulation we use that really can make this the best facility that we can. Now, inherently, construction's better than it was 100 years ago, so we do have companies that make things that are more sustainable, but we really did lean our way to do some research. Those of you who have been to Virginia Beach City Public Schools partnered with us very early in the process. They have a sustainability engineer and manager who is well known across the country. He has Zoomed with our group, recommended people with whom we work, and that was really something that we were proud to present to the board. We focused specifically on energy management, and that report as well is available on our website. In March of 2023, the school board reviewed the proposed exterior finishes of the project. Obviously, this is a screen picture, but we had at our board meeting, we actually had samples of the brick, we had samples of some different pieces, and that was really exciting. What you'll notice is there's quite a nod to the community of Sewickley and our whole surrounding Quaker Valley region. If you take a look, you see the walls like we often see when we drive through Quaker Valley, the whole region. And we're really taking a look at what we can do to have some of those nods to the past as we move forward to the future. So some of the things that are very purposeful as we made our decisions to go forward. And then in April, we had a discussion related to cost estimates and the finalization of design development. Mr. Antoline will share with you a little bit more about taxes and finances and so forth, but this is an ongoing process. So as you know, we have to make decisions that are wise for you as community members, wise for our kiddos as we plan for the future, but then also we are responsible to safety, financing, and so forth on many different levels at the state level as far as our Department of Education as well as our Commonwealth. And so there are things we can't do. We can't overbuild, we can't overtax, and we make sure that we follow all of those rules and regulations, and we'll talk about that shortly. Okay, am I going to grab here or should I pass on? I'll keep, Charlie, do you want this one or do you want me to? How about you start with upcoming? How's that? So in April and May, we did do a budget project conversation and a financing plan. Like I said, Scott will talk a little bit more, but that really then moved into our district school budget that we always do every May. When that's approved, it also had obviously one of our major conversations is how do we fund the high school? How do we do that without going to referendum? A referendum is when you go over the index, and Scott will talk about that. But we didn't have to go there. We've been very good stewards of how we're moving forward with that budget. In as May, we did the final design. Right now, we always say they're not in the most exciting part of, our part of the job, because they are actually, all of our architects are in what they work, those of you who have been in the contracting business or architects, they're doing construction documents right now. So they're deciding what's going in the walls, what's going on the floors, and then of course getting us ready to go out to bid all those specifications. And then in June, as we finished our last school board meeting, we approved an amendment to the Phillips and Associates contract to provide 91 additional geotechnical core drillings and laboratory analysis. As you know, this is a really beautiful site, and much like many sites in Pennsylvania, we have some hills, because that's what we do in Pennsylvania, and especially Western Pennsylvania. So we want to make sure that every decision that we make is certainly the safest. And I know when I first started here about 5 years ago or so, there was a kind of a thought about taking that land and, kind of just chopping off the top of the mountain, making it a flat plateau, and putting a high school there. And when our team really assembled and we worked with our architects and we've worked with engineers and we've talked with our geotech, we've decided to really take into consideration how beautiful this property is, how wonderful the geography is, the topography is, and really how can we build that school to make it that we really, I wouldn't want to say advertise, but how we take that property and we utilize every part of it to make it the best design as possible. So we're just really excited to share some of that with you. And Charlie, I'm going to bring you up now if I can. And Charlie will talk a little bit about what's coming up in the next few stages and then some of those other questions that I shared. So thanks.
No. Morning, everyone. So just some upcoming. Just there we go.
To your mouth.
For some upcoming meetings that we have, we're still continuing to meet with teachers, staff, to refine the project. We have gone through several steps in the design. So there's schematic design phase, there's design development, and we are now entering into construction documents. So at the very beginning, we met with community members, we met with staff, we met with students, and it was at the beginning kind of a wish list. What if everything you would want in a high school, what would that look like? And they came up with a list, and it was around 220,000 square feet. And we went into design development. We said, what does this program really need to look like? And so we've kind of narrowed it down to an acceptable square footage, which is probably around 185,000 square feet. The existing high school is 126,000 square feet. So we've gone through schematic design, we've gone through design development, we are now in construction documents. We think we will finish those up probably November, December, and then enter into the bidding phase December, January, and then break ground what do we have, spring 2024? Okay, you want to go back to the other slide? So I'll go over the project a little bit, what's included. Again, existing high school is about 126,000 square feet. New school is 185,000 square feet. We have 500 parking spaces available in this design. The existing high school has 200 square feet. We have 2 entrances to the property. So those that are familiar with Camp Meeting Road, if you're coming up from Beaver Street, there's a set of black gates on the right-hand side. There would be a lower entrance right there. So we're thinking if you're coming from that area, you're going to take the lower entrance to go into the school. If you're coming from Quaker Heights, Bell Acres area, you would want to take, there's a top entrance. So if you're familiar, again, with the property, if you've taken a tour, there's another main gate that kind of on the top that runs along the ridge. So it'll be 2 entrances to the site. Improvements will be made to Camp Meeting Road. We made an agreement with Leetsdale, which is on our website, several things they wanted to see done in the project. We said the intersection at Camp Meeting and Beaver Street would be improved. So we own, if you're coming down Camp Meeting Road to Beaver Street, we own a 100-foot right-of-way to the left-hand side. We plan to take that intersection, take Camp Meeting Road, shift it over a little bit. You'll have a turning lane going left, but when you're coming down Camp Meeting, there's a stone wall to your right-hand side. It's kind of hard to see, so your sight vision right there will be improved. There will be, at the lower entrance, another turning lane going into the property, and then the top entrance, there'll be 2 turning lanes there as well. So if you're coming again from Quaker Heights area, you will have a turning lane to go left. If you traverse up Camp Meeting Road, there'll be a turning lane right into the property. It was important for us when we focused on this project, the site design. At the existing high school, again, when you have parent drop-off, bus drop-off, students, teachers, there's no separation of all of those individuals. When it's all happening at once in the morning, you have drop-off, parents just stopping in the middle of Beaver Street, dropping kids off. You have buses waiting to line up in the back. You have kids at the bottom, the lower parking lot, walking up, which is not a sidewalk, it is actually a driveway where you have teachers and parents and everybody else coming up. So it was important for us to make that separation. So in this design, you have separated bus drop-off for students. You have a separate parking area for teachers. You have a separate parking area for students. So all of that, again, safety was important for this. So everything was separated. Trying to think what else we have. Again, our existing high school, if you go into our auditorium, we're unable to sit or seat our entire student body. The new high school will be able to do that. Our new auditorium, I think we have 1,100 seats available in the auditorium, the gymnasium. The existing gymnasium, we can seat about 500 kids. It was also important inside the building to have safety features in there. So if you look at this, the top part of the building is our educational wing. The lower portion is auditorium, cafeteria, gymnasium. We want to say in the evening when you have all of these events going on, we know where all of our kids are in the building. They're not spread out. They're all in that, I guess, say our public spaces, okay? Yeah, our performance area. We know where everybody is in the building. This design also allows us to keep visitors in the front of the building, the main office. Now we have no conference room, so when parents come to meet with their teachers and students, they have to find a space somewhere in the building, so they're walking all through the building trying to find open space to meet. This design keeps every visitor in the main office. Our resource officer, his office is right at the front entrance, the capture vestibule, so he sees everybody who is coming and going. Come in, get buzzed in, you stay in the main office. Again, this image up here, this is our bus drop-off area, bus entrance. We have a new media center, library, which is kind of overlooking a green space. And as Dr. Andraco mentioned, it was important for us, again, when we came in, sort of looking at this project, not to clear cut the site and move all this earth material off the site. We wanted to be very respectful. The design team came in and is using the contours of the property to their advantage. The gymnasium, the cafeteria, the auditorium is all set on a lower elevation. The main office area, educational wing, is set on the existing contours, the very top. Again, road, the second road up top is on the main contour. The lower road coming up is using the contours as well. So again, we have about 150 acres, this property, and we're going to affect probably about 45 acres of it. There's 12 acres that are currently clear, but that's kind of what we have overview of the project.
One of the things for me as the communications director and the person who is very often engaging with the community is something that's so exciting is we do have these public spaces that will be accessible for people to come and visit. So we will be able to host things in our auditorium, and they will be accessible to people with mobility limitations. They'll be able to find accessible parking. They'll be able to get into the auditorium easily rather than having to take multiple elevators and traverse different halls. This high school is meant to be a hub for our community. It's supposed to be the heart where things can happen and people come to our district to celebrate our kids, but also access resources. And this new design that Charlie and his team with Dr. Andreyko and Dr. Surloff, they have really considered how we can make this a high school for everyone, that people will be able to come and do wonderful things on our campus. And we do want you to engage with us. That's my spiel. That's what I do up here. So our next school board meeting will be August 22nd. We do take a break in the summer if we can during July because it's hard to get everybody together with everyone's vacations. So the August 22nd meeting will be a combined committees and legislative meeting. Basically what that means is we'll present all of our information and then vote on it immediately after. It also means it might be a little bit of a long one, but because it's our first one back, there will be a lot of updates at that August 22nd meeting. We are committed to making sure that we are updating every month and sharing information with the public. Those are public meetings. You are more than welcome to attend. They happen at Edgeworth Elementary School in the LGI. In addition, we do offer a Zoom link, so you are able to listen in to the webinar and listen from home if you want to know what is going on. On top of all that, we also share all of our presentations from the school board meeting on our district website. So I don't know how tech savvy all of you are, but I would be happy to help you if you ever need a hand finding information. On our district website, we do share all of our school board presentations, video presentations, PDFs of things, so we do want to make sure that those are available to you. In addition to sharing things on our school board page, we do have a dedicated tab on our website, and there are many links to it on our homepage that we call the Blueprint tab. That takes you specifically to high school project information. Mr. Anteline, do you mind hitting the arrow for me so we can advance to the next slide? Oh, other way. Thank you. This is what the Blueprint page looks like if you visit it. The first thing that you will see on the Blueprint page is a timeline. That timeline is pretty up to date. We update it periodically. We're about due for a new one as we get ready to move through construction documents and all of that sort of thing. So the first thing, again, you'll see is that timeline, and there are a number of tabs over here on the right-hand side. Each of those are links in that yellow menu on the right. So you can see that there's a tab called the Future Home of Quaker Valley High School. That's where you'll see all of the images and renderings, pictures from the site, presentations that were made to the board that are specific to the high school project. They'll all be there. There is a high school project funding page. Mr. Anteline, I'll allude to that just a little bit, and then you can take it from there. But anything related to cost, budget, funding that we have available to share with the public is there. So there are tons of resources there that you can go look through, videos, PDFs, the whole shebang there. There are frequently asked questions and answers. Those are compiled based on questions that were previously submitted, as well as the questions that we encounter as we do public presentations. So you, I'm sorry to tell you, are not our first public presentation. We actually went, I know, I'm sorry. Had I known, I would have put you at the top of the list. We have done a number of public presentations, so we did meet with the Swickley nonprofits and with our PTAs and HSAs, and we also met with a lot of local businesses to share some of this information. And so as we meet with people, we get questions that keep popping up time and time again. Those questions are now found on our frequently asked questions page, and Charlie and I work together, and Mr. Anteline works in on some of these too, to answer those questions and make sure that we are providing you with thorough and factual and timely information. There is also the page with the chats with Charlie. We typically pick a topic that's really relevant to what's going on in the project right now. We will soon be doing one about what construction documents actually are and what that means that they are working on, as well as what we can expect with Planning Commission. What does that mean to take our project to Planning Commission? What are we waiting for? What do we expect to get from them in return? We have a historical facilities timeline because, as Dr. Andreyko mentioned at the very beginning, this is not a new project. There are actually talks about new high schools all the way back into the 60s. So there's a whole historical timeline that walks you through different phases of this project. We have an exhaustive list of research and studies. Most of those are PDFs where you're able to go in and see things like traffic reports from traffic studies that were done, facilities reports from facilities assessments that were done in 2015. So there are a number of different pieces of research that are available to you should you want to go and review those. And then we also have at the very end here, high school project articles and news updates. That is every time the Post-Gazette, the Herald, our own district papers have published an article or shared an update about the high school. That information is also archived on our website. So we have a ton of information there. And again, if you need help finding it, I'm your contact, I'm your girl. I would be happy to help you find that information. You can just go to qvsd.org/blueprintqv, and that will take you to this website. I know what you really want to know about is about to happen, which is Scott's tab on that website. So Mr. Anteline, if you will join me, he'll talk to you a little bit about the high school project funding.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, and if you move even another slide to, kind of our current budget process, and as Michelle said, this, discussions on new high school have gone back a long period of time. So I've been with the district 7 years now, and that topic was one of the big topics when I interviewed was background with financing of projects and current financial situations, and being able to develop a plan to afford the largest investment that a district makes is in the high school. And no doubt we talked earlier about the elementary facilities are done in the middle school. Well, I guess we saved the best and most expensive for last. So really have been developing plans since I started relative to ensuring that we're maintaining those three facilities. I'll talk a little bit about that. And not, get kind of crowding out funds necessary for those schools, and being able to afford, the high school project, and talk about some future plans, planning as well. But an overview of what we, just finished our budget process for the next school year that starts July 1st, 23-24. We did approve a budget in May of $58 million with a tax increase of 2.9%. And as Dr. Andreyko alluded to, we have, several regulatory guidelines we have to follow relative to how much we can raise taxes, how much this, building can cost, how much debt we can have, for that building. And that regulatory inflationary index for the tax increase specific for next year was 4.1%. So we were happy to be able to stay under that index for the cost inflationary increases, obviously, that the school, does have relative to both contractual increases with our salary and benefits, and things that, such as utilities that you all see are going up, and gas prices and things of that nature. So that inflationary increase for us next year was 2.9%. And some of that is, if you look at, and as Michelle said, there's lots of information on the webpage. There's also a district budget page under finance that specifically, shows a lot of that detail and why is a tax increase even required. Well, obviously it's for, some of those inflationary increases, but for Quaker Valley, we rely on local funding. We do not get a lot of state and federal dollars, in our budget. So we do rely on the local tax base, more significantly than other districts. However, even with that increase of 2.9%, in our tax rate, for next year at 20.62 mills, we are still ranking in the lowest third, in Allegheny County. And in our 5-year projections where we're looking at future tax increases, for both all these operational inflationary, costs and the high school project, we are projecting to stay well under that inflationary index for the next 5 years as well. So maybe flip a page to, talking about the cost of the high school. So in those 5-year budget plans that we're doing, we're showing not only this current year, we did build in the current year, we've built in capacity in our planning, phases to make sure that we have capital dollars in our budget to pay for the debt service and the capital funds for our existing facilities. And there are regulatory guidelines as to not only how much debt we can have, but how much the building can cost as well. And this was presented in May, from our architects, engineers, and program manager. This is the current design development budget. Charlie mentioned we're moving into construction document phase, so some of the details of this will change slightly, but this is where we're looking at a $98 million. And if you go back into all of our presentations, we've really been looking at this $95 to $105 million was our budget range, and we're still within that budget range, currently, and in planning for that impact in that debt is what we're doing in that 5-year planning. So you'll see lots of charts on the web page under the high school funding plan, on that page, and under district budget, which will show that we are looking at tax increases for the next 5 years to be right around that 2.93% range, which is under that inflationary index. So it shows the kind of taxpayer impact for both operational costs and the high school project. So important to note is when I talk about, operational costs and, so that 2.9 isn't all for the high school. I mean, historically, the district, the difference of what, I told you that, that we don't get a lot of state and federal money, so we rely on the local tax base. And so those operational increases, we've averaged roughly about a 2% tax increase each year for the last 16, 17 years. And, we have all that on there. And so the kind of moving up into this 2.93% range is really where that impact of the high school project is, to the taxpayer and funding for it. So we're, happy that we are able to, make sure that we have plans to both fund this high school project within those inflationary index and regulatory guidelines. And as I said, we have also created reserves to make sure we're maintaining our existing school facilities in our capital projects fund. So, moving forward, we're really aligned well to deal with the project that's on the horizon financially. We've been recognized by both our auditors, for our financial management position, being in a good place. And, we have independent third parties, rating agencies. Moody's is one where we do get our ratings that, rate our financial position, and they're well aware of our 5-year planning tools and things of that nature to be able to, afford and pay for this high school project. So that's kind of the financial overview in a nutshell, but lots of information on the webpage too. And I don't know who I'm turning it back over to, but I will.
We can't. Close. If you thought of anything that we missed along the
See, I love it because they're putting he wasn't supposed to speak, so they put him on the spot.
To be our closer.
Happens all the time. So yeah, I've been with the district for 23, this will be year number 24. And so yeah, we've talked about all of our schools and talked about the high school for a long time. The other thing I would share is I was principal of the current high school for 10 years. And so I know all of the ins and outs of the current high school and all of its warts and charms. There are some charms. And so it is a much needed and much overdue project. And I think all who have visited have said there is no doubt this district needs a new facility. That 100-year-old facility is just no longer able to meet both the needs of our students and our faculty, as well as have the spaces necessary to be accessible for all of our students who have all of their various needs. I think the district does a fantastic job of educating the students we have, but we would be remiss in not sharing the fact that there are some that do not have as much access to all of the programming that we could be offering if we had a larger, more modern and more accessible facility. And it's something that, you know, we have a responsibility, a shared one, to help provide for those future generations. And so that's what we're here to do. And so from there, I know.
Turn the house lights up.
Yeah.
And see if there are any questions for you. Oh, all right.
Just a quick question.
We'll share answers if we.
Sure.
Sure.
There we go. Great, thanks. When you vacate the building, what are your plans for the current building?
Excellent question. And Charlie, if I misspeak, you know, come on up here and kind of share. So right now, there is no firm plan as to what will happen. I know the district will most likely want to maintain the property because it's very valuable. And so there are various options. The community may have interest in keeping some or part of that facility. It may end up being green space if that facility is no longer considered something that is of value. But the district will most likely want to keep that valuable property.
If I can share with you, there were some rumors brought to our attention at a school board meeting that we were partnering with UPMC to build a drug rehab facility. Number one, it's very sad when people promulgate rumors, whether you're 12 years old and you're doing rumors or you're not 12 years old anymore. We were never approached by UPMC, nor did we approach them. We did have to have a conversation with them to clear that air. When I first came, I had heard something about us building a CVS pharmacy there. I don't know where that came from. There was one rumor that someone said we were building a deck hockey court. Now that's really a cool idea. Hadn't thought about that, but that was, once again, community rumor, ball field rumor. So, but right now, as Andrew shared, it's a very valuable piece of property, and right now, our athletic facilities are there. So we have to be mindful that we have kiddos and generations of sports that need to keep going. So more to come, but we need to build a high school first before we make a decision about the other facility.
I have three questions. What is your average graduation of students?
The average graduating class?
Yes.
Somewhere around 150 students or so. Some years were low, 138. Some years were high at 170. But that's about and we do have some growth in the community.
Yeah, you're anticipating you're going to get a growth more than that average of 130, 100 some students in your new high school?
Well, we have our current enrollment, so the only way that we would change current enrollment.
You got to give it for a projection to the state in 5 years, 10 years. What is the projection growth for amount of students you're going to acquire? Do you have anything on it?
We do. We did have a demographic study that's available on the website, but right now we are still building for the current size of our population with growth potential.
Okay, and the other thing is, you're building on top of this hill, isolated from everything else. Have you ever talked to the people over in Coraopolis where their high school was? Built in an area on top of a hill. They have a tremendous amount of vandalism, and they had to have police running across that constantly trying to check to make sure the windows aren't being broken and everything like that. That's one thing with on top of the hill. Third thing, your projected cost there that you have. When this thing goes in for bids, I can tell you right now, you're going to be looking at a third to a half more than what you see there budgeted. A third to a half more because of labor, material, and all that. So those are dream numbers. It's nice to have, but I can tell you, you're looking at a third to a half more than what you see up there. So
We do. We have
be ready for
employed.
it.
We have employed throughout the process a program manager, and we have looked, significantly from prior to COVID.
You haven't put it out for bids. I'm telling you, when you put it out for bids, that's when reality sets in.
And once again, we have been working very hard to be very mindful of the market that we're in. We have, as we look at pricing, as we look at information, we have one of the top design firms in Pittsburgh that has been continuously Bowen Sywinski Jackson building in this community. So,
You call me when you get the bids and tell me how close you came to that.
well, we will be out in public sharing all of that with you. Don't worry. I want to be. I like to look at things very optimistically, and I think.
A lot of boards where I used to work, we had a lot of boards optimistic, and that's very good, but reality sets in. In a lot of school areas we did, it always, even back before this inflation factors and everything, the prices always came in unless you got lowball price, and then you're going to pay in extras.
Sure, and I've been involved in numerous construction projects within my career, and I agree with you. There have to be hard decisions that are made in the timing that we're doing right now. In my previous experience, I haven't seen as much work on the front end as this team has been dedicated to. And then also the fact that, when we talk about the high school, when Charlie talked about the wish list from the very beginning, we really talked about what have we learned from COVID? What have we learned about spacing? What have we learned? What have we learned related to maybe what was a wish list before then? But then, of course, what's really important to kids now, what have we learned? So I share with you, I don't have a crystal ball. Andrew always says I have very good intuition. I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can share with you is the wherewithal as this team has progressed patiently, timely, to take a look at what we can do and what we can't do, has been really a commitment that we've made. Yes, sir.
What's the mean property value for the Quaker Valley School District?
Well, the median, like the median homestead is about 235,000.
Does that
That's the
exclude
assessed.
the commercial?
That does, yes.
So you don't have a figure for the...
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I did.
Question in the back?
The roads, who else is talking?
There's Charlie over there by the flag.
Okay, the intersection of Camp Meeting and Beaver Road, you're going to put a traffic light in there?
We are on
It's got to go to a four-way eventually, and then you're going to have to put a traffic light. There's a lot of hit and miss down there. People come down that road, they don't stop at that stop sign,
So
they make the turn, and
Yeah, we did a traffic study, a crash data study. All of that is, again, stuff we have available. When we do a traffic study, they look at all that data. I mean, they put the markers out and they track how much traffic is coming and going, Beaver Street, Camp Meeting, and they work with the county on this. And we are unable to, if it is not a requirement from the county, even if we say, hey, we think a red light should go there. If the county says, no, it's not a recommendation from us, then we can't do it. It has to come from the county. It can't come from us. It has to be a recommendation or a requirement from the county.
Can't you lobby the county?
I guess we could. But again, that's what the traffic study we've done so far has come back, and the county has said,
Are you going to do that? Would PennDOT be involved?
we are all,
Follow-up?
it's a county road. PennDOT is
Follow-up, or-
not involved in that one.
All right, well, hold on, come on. He's got some.
okay, you're building a beautiful school in there.
Traffic, can we share one more traffic part of that? We currently have, is it 13 buses that go up and down Camp Meeting a day?
There's 12, yeah.
There are 12 to 13 buses. Someone had shared at a previous meeting that this would be a new route for our buses on Camp Meeting Road. I just wanted to clarify with everyone, it is a route for 12 to 13 buses every day anyway. So there is a misconception that this would be the first time we would be traveling on that road with school buses, and that's just not true. Sorry, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay, now, you said you had other exits and entrances to the school. Could you tell us where they are? Because if you're just going to have one road in, one road out, in an emergency, I don't care what, you're going to get hit.
Yeah, so we have 2 entrances to the property. Again, if you're coming up Camp Meeting from Beaver, there's a set of black gates kind of lower, maybe 1,000 feet or so from that intersection. So there'll be an entrance there as well, and then there'll be an entrance up on top. So there is a loop. If you're a bus, parent, kid coming up, you can enter the lower entrance. If you're coming from a Quaker Heights area, Bell Acres area, you can come up through that top entrance. You don't have to traverse all the way up Camp Meeting Road or all the way down Camp Meeting Road to get into the site.
As we made this decision, Charlie visited, along with many of our engineers, many different high schools in our region, from Montour, North Allegheny, and so forth. And in our current high school, that really only has one entrance into our building, into our facility right now. So this is a tremendous improvement to what we currently have at our current site. And I see a question back there.
He who has a microphone has the power, right? I have one question.
Sure.
Does the school district still own the property where the ball fields are up there at the intersection of Camp Meeting and Little Swickley Creek?
Yes, we do.
Why is that not a viable site?
There were more geotech concerns there than there were at this site.
Such
And there's
as?
lack of sewer, lack of water. Again,
Okay.
all of those studies are on our website. The properties we looked at, that was the type of stuff we looked at.
Do you still plan on keeping that property within the school district?
Yeah, we have, I think, it's a 100-year lease with QVRA, so they are planning to do other improvements up there, more ball fields, turf fields, things like
Okay,
that.
cool.
I have two questions. Number one, are you going to keep the football field and the recreation fields down off of 65?
That is the plan for now, yes.
Are you thinking about in the future moving the football stadium up there?
That will be future boards to make that decision.
Okay, my next question, in the little introduction on our website about that old home that's up there.
Yep.
What's the story? Was that home ever moved?
It was moved. I actually have images on my phone of them. So the previous owner moved the home. He purchased the other properties in order to clear it and move the home to another location. So it was taken off its foundation. It was raised, and it's been sitting there since 2016, I believe. No heating, cooling. So it's in rough shape inside. We've met with the Historical Society to determine what can we use from that home to incorporate into the design of the new school.
So what you're saying, you're going to demolish that home and take pieces of that home and incorporate it into the school?
That's correct. And we actually had a conversation about this yesterday. Some of those pieces and suggestions that we've had from the Historical Society, whether there are doors to be made into tables, mosaics or other stained glass windows to be brought in part of maybe a conference room in our building, and really a nod to the past. There are three pieces of property up there as far as housing. And so that is one of them. But we do know that there's a lot of history in that house, and we'd like to incorporate that into the design if we can.
As far as I am a resident of Moon Township, but I watched this happen in Moon Township about 15 years ago. They said they were going to start building a new high school, and everybody was up in arms, as the residents of Swickley and Quaker Valley are going to be asking questions about how it's going to affect their taxes. In the meantime, the new school board got in. They said, we're not building. That's it. We're done. They walked away, and then all of a sudden, the new school board comes in, and they said, we're not going to build there. We're going to build a junior high. And the cost of it to build the new high school doubled. So, you know, you're either going to bite the bullet one way or the other. And I see both sides. But I also think that, you know, you have to look at long range, what it's going to do.
We appreciate your feedback, and I think one thing that we've been very blessed in Quaker Valley is the long-time commitment to look at the site, to look at our, you know, to choose the architects who have the best future view for us. And we've really taken a look at what teaching and learning looks like, and you know, there was so much bad about COVID. But there was also that time to let us really work very closely with our architects in that design phase. And so we don't have some type of ping pong back and forth, should we or shouldn't we. We're very dedicated to this project. Yes, sir.
How much do you intend to borrow, and on what terms are you projecting going forward for interest rate?
Yeah, I mean, that 98 million that you saw up there, it's going to be in that range. So as I said, we do have some money in capital projects, so we'll be, you know, balancing within that 95 to $100 million range with how much debt we will take out. And obviously, we're managing the market now. We actually, you know, we actually have $10 million that we already borrowed, you know, sitting because the interest rates were favorable 2 years ago to do that. And so we, you know, have that lined up. And we will be presenting in probably September or October, you know, kind of some of those details as to how that debt service will layer out and what those, you know, market indicators will be, but all aligned to those, you know, to those budget plans in that build.
I have a question. How much is the state going to kick in on all this? Does the state provide you funding?
That's a good question. Well, what I can share with you is, first of all, there is some legislation related to Plan Con that just passed through the House. We're not sure if that will go through the Senate or what it will look like. We know that there is a very significant well, there was a lawsuit related to fair funding for schools. And we do know that one of the significant underfunded things across the Commonwealth has been underfunding of facilities, whether it has been to do renovations or new construction. I don't have an answer for you on how that legislation, how those debates will happen in Harrisburg over the next 6 months. What I can share with you, though, is we do stay abreast of every potential grant that we can apply for and look ahead for, because we do think that if we can defray the cost, that's really important. But I want everyone to know, we can't defray the costs and then build something more and bigger. We have a certain amount of size that we're allowed to be, a certain amount that we're allowed to certainly tax the public and so forth. Those are all legislative items, but I can share with you that if there is money available, there is no one sitting on their hands in this group. We're ready to go and ready to apply as soon as we can.
Just one question. I don't know, maybe this has been answered, but what are you going to do with the old high school?
Yes, we just answered that, but we'll answer it again. Right now, it is where we teach and learn. And so it's an important facility for us until the final construction. It is also an extremely valuable piece of property within our community. It also houses many of our athletic sites right now that will not be part of the new construction currently. And so it is an important piece and an asset for our district.
But you have no use for it now. I mean, it'll be empty whenever you move, whenever that is.
Well, it could be, but we also, we might move district office to that area. It may be an alternative area for athletics or for community events and so forth. So, but the most important thing is for us to move through the construction and bid phase of our project right now. We think it's really important for our kids to have a place that, we still work on that building to make sure it's safe and hospitable for our kids.
Anybody else got any questions? All right.
One more. Yes, sir.
Where is?
When is the school going to start? When do you have it?
Construction, we hope to...
Student body. When is the first student body to be?
The fall of 2027 is our hope. To cut the ribbon and move on in.
All right.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this
Thank
briefing.
you.
Appreciate it.